Hey, what's up, Roxstars? It's Rox with a little bit of talk about what's at the top of the blog. So let's get to it. All right, Roxstars. So I'm trying to figure out what story I want to start off with. Let's start off with Tamar and David. They've been in the blogs quite a bit lately, mostly because of Tamar's suicide attempt a few weeks to a month or so back when she tried to kill herself by taking a bunch of pills and alcohol. Her boyfriend David found her, called the paramedics. They rushed her to the hospital, I'm assuming pumped her stomach and did whatever they needed to do to make sure that she was okay. And ever since then, she has been in some sort of what I think would be mental health type of treatment. I told you guys a while ago that I felt like Tamar Braxton hasn't been right for a long time. And when I say not right, I'm saying that she has some mental health issues that she needed to take care of. They've gotten increasingly worse since she left Vince Herbert. And I just kind of felt like maybe it was time that Tamar took this time to really concentrate on just herself. It's kind of hard to be in a relationship with somebody and try to give of yourself when you're not complete. Okay, if you are already broken and then you trying to give these broken pieces to somebody else, then what happens to you? So I felt like if she would have just taken some time for herself after that attempt, and, you know, maybe she and David didn't need to be together. I wasn't really sure what was going on with that relationship. I've always felt that it was kind of strange. She was so... It's one thing to be in love with somebody, but to the point, the adoration, the way that she went on and on about him, it was just to the point where it was almost, what is the word that I'm looking for? It was like she worshiped the ground that he walked on. And you shouldn't be worshiping no ground that any man is walking on. Everybody is human. People make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, all of this. So it was just like, from the beginning, I felt that it was something weird about that relationship. We've already talked about the fact that the family don't necessarily see it for him, feel like he's controlling. I don't know if he is or isn't. I don't follow them. I only know about them when something hits, like the blogs, like when something has happened. So I don't really know them or know him, but I've always just got the feel when I would see the two of them, I'd just be like, something's just off there. But for a while, she seemed like she was happy with him and they were a couple, and, she was so happy to be with her fine Nigerian man. Well, now, as she's trying to navigate through this mental health therapy and whatnots, her and David have found themselves on the outs. Evidently, he was on his way to take her to some treatment that she had scheduled. They got into some altercation in the car. Let him tell it, she, punched him in the jugular. Okay, he said that he was discombobulated because, the jugular carries the blood up to your brain, and I guess the oxygen was cut off for a minute and he was confused, and he was driving at a high speed, so he had to make sure that they were okay. And, he put out a video yesterday that's just talking about how he, would never hit Tamar. He's never tried to, abuse her, that he comes from a family. He's never seen that. He wasn't raised around it. He believes that no man should touch a woman, that they should go to jail. He said that he has never cheated on Tamar. He goes on and on to say that he loves her and he will support her, but, they are not together right now. Tamar, on her end, says that she only hit him when he grabbed at her. Evidently, she had a conversation with Jason Lee from Hollywood Unlocked, and she told him that, that he had grabbed her and that he had left a thumbprint on her, and that he had threatened to kill her, said that they were going to be in a murder-suicide, okay? So while he's going off and getting restriction orders, she's saying that, no, she was the one who he abused and that. Now, I'm assuming that the truth is somewhere in between both of those two stories. I just wish that Tamar would be by herself. Like, you don't need to be with a man right now because it's just muddy in the waters. It's just clouding things. Like, you can't even, you so busy trying to give your all to a relationship when you really need to be giving your all to yourself. You cannot give to other people when you are depleted. You just can't. You not no good for nobody. You no good for yourself. It just doesn't work. As far as the story, like, I don't want them to be together. I don't want them to be together. There are people out there that are saying that it's a publicity stunt, that, their show is coming on. Now, I thought WeTV had taken their show off. I thought they had agreed that they weren't going to put it up when Tamar got sick, tried to kill herself. I thought they had decided that they were just going to scrap it or just put it on the shelf for now. But no, it is scheduled to air next week. And some people are saying that they're doing all of this and getting all of this drummed up so that people will watch the show. Now, I've been on this channel long enough to know that people do these things, but I really would hope that that's not what they're trying. When you start playing with things saying that people trying to kill themselves, like, we can't be using that, because there's so many people out there who definitely have mental health issues, who truly want to kill themselves, who think about it all the time. And you got people out there just acting and playing like that ain't cool. Like, you shouldn't use the plight of people that have serious problems to try to promote your damn show. So I am gonna choose to hope that that's not what they're doing. I really hope that's not what they're doing. But people are saying that might be what the case is here. Evidently, she made it to the treatment. I guess he did drive her there, drop her off or whatever. She had a friend that came and picked her up, and then she said that she went and stole all of the camera equipment out of his Rolls Royce because she didn't want him to be trying to release the camera footage. He said that he had $30,000 worth of damage to his car, so I'm assuming this is when she pulled out the camera equipment. But you guys, yeah, the story is just like way out, because I'm thinking to myself, like, I just know that Tamar has had these issues for a long time, and they just get covered up. Like, she just moves from thing to thing, and those problems are still there. And they don't get taken care of, and then it just blows up into something like this. I want the girl to get better. I want her to be better. I want her to be strong and everything, but I want her to do that on her own. Like, I don't want her to be having to worry about some nigga that, you having problems with. I just don't want her to, you guys. So that's pretty much it. Did you guys see the video? Y'all go on and check the video out for yourself and come up to your own conclusions, and then let me know what you think. Do you think that he beat up Tamar? You think that he threatened to kill her? Do you think that Tamar is playing the victim? You guys let me know. All right, you guys, and since we're talking about domestic abuse and everything, let's talk about Joe Budden. He has been in the news quite a bit lately. I think this is the third week that I've talked about the man. I ain't never talked about Joe Budden this much unless it was in a Love and Hip Hop review. So last week we talked about Tahiri saying that she was beat up by him, thrown downstairs, broken nose and all of that. The week before that, I told you how he left Spotify and or is leaving Spotify, and said some things that maybe got some people in high places upset. I don't know. Okay, not even sure if that is related to what's going on with Joe Budden. All I'm saying is he is in the news quite a bit these days. This latest story, you guys, has leaked that when he and Sin originally broke up, it was contentious. It was not a good breakup. There was rumors that he was cheating while he was on tour, and he and Sin, shortly after she had the baby, that they had broken up. Well, as breakups go, sometimes the shit don't go smoothly. There's a lot of hurt feelings. You can't really express yourself well. You are at an extremely vulnerable place. And so you say and do things that you may not, if you was really in a clear space of mind, maybe you wouldn't say and do these things. All right. Now, Sin evidently was having a conversation with Joe. They were trying to hammer out some child support, her relocation, and, you know, just some sort of support that she could get from him, because she was moving out of the house, and I guess she didn't really have the money to get an apartment and all of this. So she calls him on the phone, and they're having a conversation that go very much like how people that freshly broke up, and, you know, there's all these feelings involved, and, you know, people talking over the conversation is how those kind of conversations go. Not necessarily listen to the other person, talking over the other person, saying things that, you know, purposely or not on purpose, misunderstanding what the other person is saying. It was one of them conversations. It was like a 20-minute conversation where she's trying to get money from him to move into an apartment, and money, I guess, for child support, and for them to agree on some sort of visitation. In the conversation that they were having, you could hear somebody in the background, and whoever that person was recording the conversation. Excuse me. Now, I'm not sure if Sin knew that she was being recorded, but she definitely knew that somebody else was sitting there and listening to this conversation, because at points in the conversation that she was having with Joe, you could tell that she was muting it, and they were kind of laughing, or the person was talking to her and telling her what she should say and this, that, and the other. Okay. Joe didn't know that there was another person there. He thought that he was just having a one-on-one conversation with Sin. But when you listen to the conversation, you can tell that Sin, I've told you guys that on the Love and Hip Hop reviews, that Sin is immature. She's young acting. When you listen to the conversation, you just felt like it was an adult trying to talk to a child. Also in the conversation, she says something about he's been wanting to meet up with her, because his whole point was they're about to start shooting Love and Hip Hop. They haven't been talking. They haven't seen each other. He wanted to get together with her so that they can talk, so they can kind of just like have a plan for the show. Don't let them just get on the show and the camera's in their face, and then all of a sudden they trying to deal with this breakup and their child and all of that. He wanted to meet ahead of time. She didn't want to do that. She was like, so you want to meet with me so that you can drag me like you did before? And he was like, drag you? When did I drag you? I have never put a hand on you. Okay. And then she was just like, whatever, Joe, you know, and she didn't really go on and on about that. This long conversation that she had with Joe, it's on YouTube, so you guys can go and listen to it. That conversation was recorded, and now it has been released. All right. It's been leaked. Now, this is some years later. Joe and Sin have worked out whatever their issues are. They're co-parenting successfully. They're happy. There's no more problems there. But because of on the heels of this whole Tahiri thing, and potentially the Spotify thing, like I said, we don't know. But on the heels of all of that, now this week they're saying that he dragged Sin, and they released this recording so that you can hear the things. But to me, the recording did not make Joe look as bad as it made Sin look bad, because she's laughing and kind of sniggling and giggling with somebody in the background, when obviously it's a whole bunch of feelings here and emotions here, and, you know, you should be trying to resolve whatever you guys' issues are right then. So anyway, that video, I mean, that came out. Sin was pissed, went on to her Instagram stories and was kind of all over the place, but basically saying her and Joe are in a good place now. She was upset that the person that released that did, because, you know, she looked at that person as a sister at one time. But, you know, basically don't play with me and my family and our mental health and all of that. Like, we real people, we got real lives. Like, you know, people out there just in social media world, you know, just take stories and a little bit of the story and just create this whole narrative, and it don't be true and all that. Okay. So she goes on. That's the gist of her 10-minute video. But Joe Budden comes out and says, he names names and says that it was Rocky Thunder. And evidently Rocky Thunder was the person that was in the car or wherever they were when Sin was talking to Joe and recorded it and released it. You know, he said that at one point she was managing Sin, and you know, it was in Sin's ear quite a bit. He would be led to believe that Raqi was kind of behind, kind of steering Sin in that way to make her be a certain way with Joe when they broke up and all of that. So, you know, he said that she was just a snake and that she, you know, basically attached herself to Sin, who was very vulnerable and just saying and doing shit that she probably wouldn't say and do if she was in a normal space. So he named Raqi Thunder. She comes out and says that Joe actually wanted her to manage Sin so that she could keep an eye on Sin and he would know her whereabouts even when they weren't together, and that he is delusional and that he is a woman beater and, you know, all of this. So Raqi has come out and said that Joe is lying. Joe has said that Raqi is the bitch behind trying to switch the story with Sin. Sin has come out and said that everything is fine and that she doesn't trust Raqi anymore. That's the whole story. Because I was so confused yesterday. All this morning, I done looked at everybody's videos and text messages and exchanges and all of this just so I can try to understand what was going on there. There are papers that are going around. People are thinking that they're court papers, where in the papers they talk about Joe Budden masturbating his dog, and he said that he doesn't masturbate his dog, even though on his podcast he does say that he, you know, tries to make his dog feel good by, I guess, fooling around with his ding or whatever. You know, Joe Budden is now saying that that was a joke, you know, and he couldn't believe that people would, you know, believe that he did that and all that. But you said it, so, you know, we can just go by that. And then it's in these papers. But like I'm saying, it's not, those papers are not not court papers. Those are just like something that Sin told her lawyer. The lawyer drew up the papers, and that was what they were going to take to court had they gone for child support and, you know, child visitation and all of that. But they were able to hammer out everything and hammer out their differences with their lawyers, you know, and avoid going to court. So those papers, we thought, or Joe thought, they had been destroyed. But no, Raqi, being Sin's manager, and, you know, like Sin said, she considered her a sister. Raqi had access to those papers, still had a copy of them. And they're saying that Raqi is the one that released the papers and the recording. Okay. Now, I might not have that story tight, but that's the general gist of it. I think that Joe Budden has had abuse issues in the past. He was on drugs. Wasn't doing as well as he is now. You know, possibly he could be a changed man and probably made some bad decisions back in the day that maybe he don't do anymore. Like, none of it is impossible to me. You just have to kind of listen to the stories and just decide what you believe. As far as that masturbating the dog, I really hope that that's not true, because that's gross. And maybe he thought it was going to be a good laugh on the podcast. And see, that's the thing about doing them things live. You know, sometimes you say some shit, you might think it's a cute little tee hee hee ha ha ha. And then the next thing you know, people are taking it and running with it. So, got to be careful. Gots to be more careful. But anyway, you guys, that is the story this week on Joe, what he's going through. Like I said, not sure if Spotify and iHeartRadio and all these people might have anything to do with it, but it ain't good times for Joe Budden right now. He's going through it. All right, you guys, next Verzuz battle coming up will be your girls, the legendary Patti LaBelle and Miss Gladys Knight. This is going to be a cute little stroll down memory lane, throwback, if you will. I don't even know if we can call it throwback, child. This is definitely just legends in the game who will be, you know, playing their biggest hits. I'm looking forward to it because I love a lot of their music. It's nice to see that they're starting to bring in an older crowd in this Verzuz battle. You know, it's been, you know, for the most part, it's just been geared towards a younger audience. But with Patti and Gladys being involved, now they'll be able to hit a different demographic, and that can't do anything but help, you know, Verzuz TV. Looking forward to it, you guys. When I think about the hits that Patti LaBelle had, like, I feel like I know more Gladys Knight hits. Let me think. Love Overboard. You know, when I start thinking, like, I'm trying to think, like, I should have wrote down all of the Gladys Knight hits and Patti LaBelle's hits that I could think of. Right now, all I can think of is Love Overboard. My love's in need of help. Love Overboard. Sure can't help myself. Love Overboard. I don't know what to do. Love Overboard. I'm so in love with you. S-O-S-O-S-O-S-O-S. Love Overboard. Child, that's my jam. I loves me some Love Overboard. I can see the video in my head and everything. And then, you know, Patti LaBelle, and I'm sure she'll hit all of her classics. I'm looking forward to hearing New Attitude, y'all. Ooh, 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 ooh. I got a new attitude. A new attitude. A new attitude. I don't even know the words, but ooh, you guys. Well, it's gonna be a good time, especially when the ladies get to singing live, because you already know what's gonna happen. Okay, it ain't gonna be no Brandy Monica folks don't want to sing. Okay, we definitely singing on that night. I'm not sure when the battle is coming though. I didn't write down the dates. But will you guys be in there going and support the ladies? Okay, even my younger people, y'all can stand to listen to some legendary music and, you know, kind of get y'all, you know, get your mind out of the nastiness of the music of today, okay, and get you some real classic hits. Learn you something a little new about showmanship and women working together and all of that. I mean, you know, there's always been little underlying shade between the R&B or soul legends, of course, but yeah, this will be nice, you guys. Too bad that our girl Riri is not around, because I would have loved to have seen Riri. Honey, Riri would have blew anybody out the water. Antibody out the water. You know, when we start comparing her to the Dionne Warwicks and the Pattis and the Gladyses and all of that at that time, Riri would have been at the top of that list for me. But God rest her soul, Riri's gonna have to be looking down and turning her nose up to the antics of the two ladies down here on earth, you guys. So anyway, Gladys versus Patti. Will you be watching? I know my girlfriend Angie will. She loves Patti LaBelle. I'm talking about, she is a for real stan. Like, she knows everything about Patti LaBelle, where she gonna be, okay? She's one of them ones that would faint if, like, she saw Patti LaBelle in person, crying and all of the snots and all of that. So I'm sure she'll be watching, but will you? All right, you guys, I'm just gonna go in the order of I was trying to figure out what stories was more bigger than the other or bigger than the other, but I'm just gonna go in the order that I have on my notes. So next story up, Odell Beckham Jr. You guys, what the fuck? What the fuck? So evidently, Chief Keef's baby mama, Slim Danger, she was on a podcast. I think the podcast is called Thoughts Next Door, or maybe that's the name of the segment on the podcast, whatever. She was on there. She was talking to some women about Odell Beckham Jr. And I guess she was going to get flued out to see him. And he was trying to set it up for, you know, set the date up before she came. So, you know, supposedly he told her that before she came that she was not to bathe for 24 hours. You know, I guess he wanted the spiciness of the hind parts to be, you know, completely intact. So that means don't disturb it with some water and soap. And supposedly he told her to take a picture of her shitting, and she said, well, shit, I could do that. Even though she thought it was strange that he told her not to take a bath, she said she could take a picture of her shitting. As a matter of fact, she gonna do him one better, and she gonna take a video. So evidently she had a camera, and, you know, she took the video, you know, while she was shitting. She said she tried to make it as sexy as she can. I said, I don't give a fuck what you do. It ain't never nothing sexy about taking a shit. That is really one of the only jobs that you just taking care of business, and that's it. So, of course, after she had told this story, it's gone around that Odell Beckham Jr. has a shit fetish. There are plenty of fetishes out there. I mean, there are people who like to be fisted, people that like to be used the bathroom on, people that like, you know, to be fucked with your feet. I mean, it's whatever you like to do out there, it's somebody else that like to do it too. So, it's not unbelievable that he could possibly have a shit fetish. But I mean, it's just sort of like, really? I mean, to each his own, but like shit shit stinks. So how is it that you would even have a fetish for something that just doesn't even smell pleasant? I mean, even if you're getting pissed on, depending on your water intake, the urine might not be as bad. I mean, you got a motherfucker that's drinking sodas and beers and, everything that's not water all day. They piss gonna be real yellow and strong and stinky. But somebody that drank 8 glasses of water in that day, they pee gonna be just like water. So maybe that might not be as bad. Not that a bitch like, do not pee on me, please. That is not my thing. But I'm saying people out there have their fetishes. So, I mean, I guess he could have a shit fetish, but do you guys believe that story? Oh, God, I can't even imagine. Like, you ain't trying to even have a wolf of booty smell when you having sex. Like, you don't even want that to whoosh up in your face like that. I can't imagine having wide open ass is not, fragrant to me. So I can't even imagine what a whole hunk of shit somebody doing and we supposed to still be having sex. Like, oh, child, I don't know. People were expecting Odell to respond to it, and he seems to be taking it in stride and laughing at it. He posted a post on his Instagram that says, "Can't knock me off my square no matter how much shit is thrown my way." Bump. And he was in the comments and people were saying the things that they were saying, and he was, responding to them and everything and kind of laughing it off. So I guess his whole thing is that the shit is not true. And, but it's like, why do people, you just make up stories about somebody's shit and like, it ain't no piece of truth to that? Like, I'm just like, how do you just think up like, I'm gonna go to this podcast and I'm gonna say that Odell Beckham Jr. wanted me to shit on him when we have sex? Like, people just make up shit like that? I mean, I guess they do, but I don't know, you guys. Like I said, people have fetishes, but whoo, shit. All right, you guys, so let's just do a little follow-up on Dr. Dre and his wife, Nicole. Now, I told you guys they've been in the news quite a lot lately, too, because we found out last week that Nicole, I meant to write down all the shit that she wanted. I didn't, so anyway. She's asking for, how they give you temporary support until they can work out the final numbers of what's going to be like your regular spousal support. Now, Dr. Dre has already agreed to spousal support for his wife. She supposedly was a lawyer, but she was not an active lawyer. So she was a wife to Dr. Dre and had been there for 20-something years, okay? So she's been there. He had already agreed that he was going to pay her spousal support. She's trying to get in on the business money. He's saying that business money ain't got shit to do with the private, so no, okay? And they were trying to work that out. But in the meantime, she's saying that she needs money to be able to continue to live her lifestyle, and that she is requiring $2 million a month, you guys, for spousal support. Now, remember, Dr. Dre is damn near a billionaire, worth somewhere around $900 million. So when you make that kind of money, I would imagine maybe $2 million a month is not ridiculous. Now, of course, to the regular layman it is, but and she goes on to explain why she needs this money. She needs to be able to go on her trips. She needs to be able to travel. She needs to be able to have security detail on her all the time. She needs to be able to, maintain her look, and that means clothes, and she's got to be able to rent a home or buy a home, and she's got all these things that she has to take care of. And she says that it equals to $2 million. Okay. She gonna get at least $1 million. She definitely gonna get at least $1 million until they figure it out. Okay. Because remember I told you guys we were talking about Kevin Hart and Michael Lips. Those are like the two stories that I remember when they were trying to work out their differences too. Remember, they was paying some astronomical price as well. Kevin Hart, I think, was paying his first wife, a couple of $100,000 a month until they settled it out. So she's gonna get at least $2 $1 million a month until they get it ironed out. And I'm probably not mad about it, you guys. This rich people problems, all right? She's been there. I'm sure she's got plenty of stories. So that's probably why Dr. Dre is trying to just kind of play this thing, not let it get too out of control, because I'm sure she has a lot that she could say. You know, this is her ex-husband, the father of her children. You know, hopefully she just wouldn't be the type to just go and blast all this shit. But just knowing that she has that in her arsenal, he might want to tread a little lightly. So that's probably why he gonna end up giving her this money, just to kind of shut her up. As far as the prenup, he says there's one, she says there isn't one. I'm assuming that the judge is gonna go by whatever they have presented. You know, if he can produce a prenup, she can't prove that there is no prenup if she didn't go through her lawyer and everything. So the prenup is probably gonna stand, but we'll see. But yeah, she gonna get paid. She gonna get a whole bunch of money. Okay, and like I said, I'm not mad, you guys. But damn, $2 million fucking dollars a month. If I could just get 1 month of her payments, I would be fine, y'all. I'd be straight. Wouldn't you?